You can see here that most players prefer 5% tank production efficiency gain in base. My name's ESG, or the sunglasses guy. Here are some things to consider when applying MIOs to your production lines. So first off, what is an MIO? An MIO is a military industrial organization. Each country has them. So if you click under your political screen, you can actually go through and see all of the MIOs that you have available. If some of them are grayed out, that means that you're going to be able to get those MIOs through your focus tree. So we're on Germany here. Germany starts with all of its MIOs, and then through its focus tree, you can actually gain funds on the individual MIOs. So MIO funds allow you to purchase these individual badges. All right, now let's talk about applying the MIOs to the production lines. And this is most important when considering tanks and planes, because that's your most important equipment as Germany. And you can see here that I have mixed up the MIOs. So I have one MIO on the top bar, and then I have an MIO on the individual production line. So what is the difference? Why am I doing this? If we hover over the top bar, you can see that everything affecting production is going to be affecting the top bar. If I switch to Henschel, the first thing that you might see here is that the production efficiency cap goes down. So you see the red bar is lessening. So with Henschel, I will have less potential to produce more equipment. The other thing that you'll see here is that the actual number of tanks per day that I'm producing goes down as well. The other thing that you will note is look at the resources here on the right. Because Daimler-Benz has a production resource need of negative 15%, I actually need 9 less steel, I need 5 less tungsten, and I need 6 less chromium as I'm building 20 tanks, and I'm even converting them from stockpile. So I have an older version of the tank here that I'm just producing to then later convert from stockpile. And we can see that we're using 7 less steel when we're producing this tank. So I'm going to explain to you later why I'm converting like this. But now let's move on to the actual MIO that's applied to the production line. If you go under the tank designer, you can actually see how each MIO is affecting the tank. So for Daimler-Benz, the bottom MIO is giving us reliability of 10%, max speed 7%, negative 3% defense, breakthrough 5%, armor negative 5%, but it also has a production cost of negative 3. So I'm not sure if that's actually going to be applied down here or not. You could tell me in the comments section below, but it's my understanding that the top bar is the only bar that affects production. So now if I switch that to Henschel, you can see that all the bonuses are changed. So in this case, I am using Henschel on the bottom MIO so that I can get that soft attack bonus of 10%. So what does this translate to for this tank? Well, it's going to reduce the soft attack by 5.5. So in an AI game, that's why I'm going to use Henschel as the bottom MIO to get those extra stats. So now that we've talked about how to apply the MIOs to your production lines, let's talk about how to upgrade the MIOs. There's going to be 2 different ways to upgrade the MIOs. The first being whichever MIO is on the top bar is going to get funds per day. So you can see here that it says funds 0.10 up to a max of 100 a day. So those funds that you're gaining per day will be listed here. So we're getting 5.44 funds per day from one of the production lines, and then 7.5 on the other, because the top MIO is both Daimler-Benz. Now, if I go ahead and research a production line with Daimler-Benz, you can see here that upon completion of this research, I'm going to get 575 funds. It's also going to cost me 0.10 political power per day, but it's also going to add a research bonus. So you need to be careful about which MIO you use for research, because it's not only going to give you funds, but it's going to give you a bonus. So if I hover down here on Henschel, the research bonus is the same, 25%. But if I go to Mon, the research bonus is 30%. And you can see that 2 days fall off here. So depending on your build, you have to consider what's important to you. The research bonus bonus, the funds on the MIO, or do you just not want to go without MIO research at all to save on political power? I can tell you now that I will always choose to research with an MIO because of the funds gained and the research bonus that you receive. So let's say we're trying to upgrade Daimler-Benz. We're going to get 575 funds. So what does that mean? We're going to get about 500 in funds after we complete that research, but we need almost 6,000 funds to get the next badge. So Daimler-Benz here at a level of 8 to 9 is going to need around 6K funds. So I'm going to go to an MIO here where I've chosen no badges, and you can see that the funds that are required to level up this MIO are only 800. So as you level up the MIO, it costs more and more funds to level it up again. And for me, this is a vote to use multiple MIOs. Okay, now that we've talked about how to gain funds on the MIOs, now let's delve into what I'm doing here with my tank production. So you can see that I have multiple MIOs selected here. So if you want more tanks, obviously you're gonna go with Daimler-Benz. If you want more quality tanks though, with more soft attack, then put Henschel down below. But if I want more funds gained on Henschel, I'll put Henschel as the top bar. So I can easily upgrade Henschel here on one of the production lines and Daimler-Benz on the second one. So mixing up the MIOs on two different production lines has many effects that could help you out in your playthroughs. So here's a poll that I conducted on my YouTube channel, and you can see here that most players prefer 5% tank production efficiency gain in base. So this poll that I just conducted 3 days ago shows that most of my viewers prefer MON as their tank MIO. So this might just be because it's simpler to produce MON early. MON also has a better research bonus. So the research bonus of MON is 30%. You could also get your production output of 5% like right away. And then you could also upgrade to another 5% production output here. So you will get more tanks in an AI playthrough. More tanks would be good, particularly if you're not microing well. But if you're going medium tanks, I prefer to get the production bonuses on Daimler-Benz early. And you can see here that if you work down to a level of 5, you get the production efficiency gain and the negative 15% production resources needed on Daimler-Benz. And you can get a lot of tanks out that way. And then you can transition into Henschel on the bottom so that you're able to get all these soft attack bonuses. So here's a soft attack bonus of 10%. Here's 5%. We're going to work into this one that's another 5%. And here's breakthrough of 5%. Heart attack really doesn't matter too much in an AI game. But essentially, that's why I'm mixing up where I'm putting the MIOs on the production lines to get the most benefit, the most bang for my buck. So I'm going to give you a little bonus here. Let's talk about what I'm doing here with the convert from stockpile on the tanks, and then I'll go over what I'm doing on the plane. But essentially, what we're doing is saving resources. That's why I have multiple production lines. But as you see, I'm converting 17.59 tanks from stockpile, and I'm also producing 14 a day down here. But you see the difference in the resources that are required for each production line. So this is the first tank that I was producing. It would have been better had I just applied like the heavy machine gun to keep the production costs low so that I could simply just get tanks into my stockpile. So you build a tank that pretty much does everything that you want, and then later what I did on the top production line, I'm converting that tank with the improved medium howitzer. So this is the tank that I'm converting into from stockpile, and it requires quite a few resources. And since I'm converting this from stockpile, it also saves on the amount of resources needed. So if I have this unchecked, it's actually requiring 80 steel, 20 tungsten, and 14 chromium. If I check the box, the steel goes down to 20. But basically, if I'm converting from stockpile, I'm going to use less resources over here on the right. You're able to see this more clearly on the fighter build. On the bottom line production of this fighter, I do not have self-sealing fuel tanks because self-sealing fuel tanks consume more rubber. So you can see that here, that self-sealing fuel tanks require 1 extra rubber. So the bottom fighter is produced without self-sealing fuel tanks. However, the top fighter has the self-sealing fuel tanks and is converting the bottom fighter from Stockpile. This is saving me a considerable amount of rubber. So let's go ahead and change this to equal. So you can see on the plane without the self-sealing fuel tanks, we're consuming 45 aluminum and 15 rubber. I'm producing the same exact amount of fighters on the top, and I'm only consuming 15 rubber because I'm converting from Stockpile. If I take off convert from Stockpile, all of a sudden I'm consuming 45 aluminum and 30 rubber. So this is a way to basically boost your industry as Germany. Now you can see that I'm converting from Stockpile very fast. So if you're actually to do this in a playthrough, you'd want less mills on the top and more mills on the bottom to kind of balance the amount of planes that you're converting with how many that you're producing of the old type, so that you get kind of an equilibrium. You could simply like go into your Stockpile here and you can see the different types of planes that you're producing here. If you just look at the air defense, you'll know how many old type of planes you have compared to how many new type of planes that you have. Just look at the air defense. Okay, now let's talk about how I'm converting from Stockpile so fast. So if you go to your industrial research tree, there are 2 badges here on the left. One is equipment conversion speed 40%. The second level is equipment conversion speed of another 40%. So as Germany, I would recommend to take these 2 research badges so that you're able to convert from Stockpile efficiently. So we can see here that we have an upgrade on Henschel. So instead of changing what I'm doing on the old tank, what I'm going to do here is upgrade Henschel on the new tank. And it looks like it got soft attack, hard attack, and piercing bonuses from the Henschel upgrade. Every time I upgrade the tank, my production efficiency will go down. So essentially, I'm only going to make adjustments to the top production line here to preserve my production efficiency. And then the bottom line just stays at max efficiency, just producing the max amount of tanks here because I'm just going to convert them later from Stockpile. So when you're doing this, make sure that you're only using the upgrades sparingly, because every time that you upgrade the MIO on the bottom line, it's going to cost you Army XP, or for air units, it's going to cost you air experience. Other things to consider is, do you want to use multiple MIOs? Because the first badges are fairly easy to get to, and you can apply the top line MIOs without spending Army, Air, or Naval XP. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you learned something, please consider giving me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.